Hello and welcome grade 11s to the History Crew channel and thank you for watching. This video serves as part 5 and we will be discussing the implementation of Roosevelt's New Deal and opposition in response to his reforms. The main aim of the Second New Deal was to reform the American economy. Roosevelt had promised that changes or reforms would have to be made, so that another crisis like the Great Depression would not happen again. In keeping his promise to those who were most affected, the Social Security Act was passed and established a system of old age pensions, health benefits, unemployment insurance, child welfare, and poor relief. This is significant because it had officially become law for a government to take responsibility of the old aged and children, the poor and unemployed as well. This had never really been done before by any other government in the world. Other laws laid down a minimum wage of 25 cents an hour and a maximum working week of 44 hours in certain industries. This too had never been done before and were now protected by laws. Roosevelt did promise that he would take care of workers and was proving it. Another measure boosted the trade union movement, by recognizing the rights of workers to join unions and to take strike action. This of course, would make Roosevelt extremely unpopular with the pure capitalists and factory bosses because they felt that he was giving too much to the workers, which would affect their profits. The Second New Deal also included some recovery measures such as the Works Progress Administration or WPA, which provided work for 8 million people. It set up construction and conservation projects, and gave work to unemployed writers, artists, musicians, actors and teachers in cultural and arts projects. For example, one project recorded interviews with over 2,000 surviving ex-slaves. It is one of the most valuable historical records about slavery in America. Even though you may think that Roosevelt was making a lot of changes which had a positive impact, there was opposition to the New Deal. The New Deal measures did have a lot of support and Roosevelt was re-elected by a huge majority of voters in 1936. But the New Deal faced opposition from some people. Republican politicians accused Roosevelt of behaving like a dictator and taking over the powers of individual states. They said that the New Deal undermined self-reliance and rugged individualism by making people dependent on the government for welfare grants. They were basically saying that the New Deal would encourage laziness, because they believed that some people would not try to find work, and instead just wait for the unemployment insurance. Many people also felt that his policies were too revolutionary and that he was taking the country towards socialism and away from capitalism. Business leaders also accused the government of interfering in areas beyond its control, by setting minimum wages, maximum working hours and recognizing trade unions. This was going to affect their profits and they felt that the workers were receiving too many rights plus benefits. They also did not like having to pay Social Security contributions for their employees. They also criticized schemes like the TVA which they felt provided unfair competition with private enterprise. You must remember that the TVA by which a hydroelectric dam was built, was a government-funded project and they felt that this was a threat to private individuals who had their own businesses and were building dams before this. Many wealthy Americans resented having to pay higher taxes to pay for the New Deal. They criticized Roosevelt, who himself came from a very wealthy background, for ignoring the concerns of the rich. They said he was a traitor to his class. To a certain extent, this is how the world works. There is an elite group of people in the world, who are very wealthy. This wealthy group, is also just a small minority in the world, and yet they control the majority of the world, who are not wealthy. Some of these wealthy individuals and families keep their position and wealth safe by gaining the support of some corrupt politicians. These politicians then pass laws in favor of the wealthy minority. So, any politician like Roosevelt who makes radical reforms to assist the poor, will be regarded as a traitor and a threat to these wealthy elite and the corrupt politicians who support them. The Supreme Court also declared many New Deal acts to be unconstitutional, because some people had the issues taken to court because they felt that Roosevelt was acting above the law. For example, the Supreme Court ruled that the AAA threatened the powers of individual states in USA, and that the National Recovery Act interfered in business practice. This was one of the reasons that Roosevelt was regarded as a dictator whose changes were too revolutionary. These critics were not used to having government interfere with business practice before. There was also a constitutional crisis when Roosevelt threatened to replace many of the older and more conservative judges in the court, with others more sympathetic to his policies. But this did not happen because even Roosevelt's own supporters felt that the government should not threaten the independence of the court. After this crisis, however, the court accepted modified versions of some of the laws. Some felt that the New Deal did not go far enough in solving economic problems and social inequalities such as racism in USA. It was clearly evident that Roosevelt's New Deal did help restore the American economy and save capitalism from a crisis. This will be covered in the next video for you. But despite the successes and achievements, the New Deal did have its critics and those were opposed to it. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to subscribe to the History Crew channel and share it with others, who would also benefit by watching.